We're getting better and better every day.
all right. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go on a Friday. I know I'm a little late. I know I said 9:30, but y'all know, man. Y'all already know. For those of you who have children and family and things like that, and just everyday life, it kind of makes you late for things like this. But anyway, I'm still here. I'm still here, and I'm doing my cast tonight. Um, Tonight, I'm going to be speaking about the mental illness of the human race. Before I do, and Lord, I'm and I trust in, and Lord, I'm and I share this message. As I said, it is Mr. Buck Manhattan's night tonight, so you know it's going to be raw and uncut. And we're taking no prisoners here when it comes to the mental illness of the human race, because I've seen nothing but a whole lot of people who are crashing out mentally of all races, black, white, and everything in between. People just crashing out, people just losing their minds in this day and time. And it seems like it's at an all-time high, that um, that mental insanity that's taking place. It's a heavy, heavy, insane energy over the planet right now, like nobody's ever seen before. You know, a lot of people who are being unalived, as they say, people taking life, people doing crazy things. These are strange times that we are in. And why are we in these strange times? Because obviously a change is taking place, a shift is taking place. And I've been saying this, that the people who see this shift taking place, this move toward a more complete state, a more advanced state of thinking, the people who don't measure up are obviously going to be the people that's losing their minds, going to fall to the wayside, who are seeing the world coming to an end. And this brings out that mental illness in them. You know what brings out people's mental illness? Truth brings out their mental illness. Truth brings out mental illness in people. Why do I say that? Because when people have to be faced with the reality that they just may not be worth a damn in the world, when people just got to deal with the reality that they're not, worth nothing, just zeros in the world, that can drive you crazy. That can drive you crazy when you have a life that's based on nothing but going to work every day, paying bills, coming home, eating, sleeping, shitting, and coming back and just doing the same thing over again, having some sex in between, going to on vacation. And you think that's what life is all about. And you do this in a rotation every day and you call this life. This is nothing but mental illness. This is nothing but mental illness, where people have no basic respect for one another. People have no decency for one another. Again, people put their race above decency, above righteousness. That's mental illness. And what brings on that mental illness? I'm going to tell you what brings on that mental illness. Where people don't respect other people. People put their race above respecting other people, whatnot. What is that mental illness that people suffers from? You could say it's self-righteousness. I call it self-wrongiousness. Self-wrongiousness. You could call it whatever you want to call it, but it's a God complex. God and the belief in God and the absoluteness of a God is what brings people mental illness. Let me show you what I mean by that. You see, when people can go and put people in slavery, destroy people's property, take people's land, right? Burn crosses on people's lawn, call people all kinds of degenerate names, you know, sexually assault people. All of these things, all these degenerate things, when people can do this and then claim to believe in a sovereign, righteous God that tells them that this is okay behavior, or that they are going to be forgiven for the sins that they do, that is a people who are mentally ill. A people that believe things like that, believe in a God that is okay with all the degenerate acts I just named, are people who are mentally ill. That's why people do the things they do out here, because they don't feel it's no judgment. They feel as though they are gods and that they can do whatever they want. And being gods, people who feel they're self-governing, doing whatever they want to do. There's no basic respect for people. So then when you have to be confronted with and faced with having respect for people, when you face with that and that goes against your God complex, people don't know how to act. People don't know how to have basic respect for other people who don't look like them because of the God complex, which creates a mental illness in the minds of people. You see, that's what creates that whole God complex where you think that you're better than other people because of your God or some God that you worship or some God that you made up in your mind that tells you that you're better than other people. You see, that's the mental insanity of mankind. That's the mental insanity of the human race. This is why you have all kind of depravity out here. This is why you have all kind of lawlessness out here. You see, when I said about, and I'm not going to go into the Carmelo Anthony case again, that scenario should have never happened. That scenario should have never happened. And like I said, people who have a God complex, people who feel as though it is their right to violate people's spaces, when it's their right to deprive people of basic lawful and orderly conduct and respect for people. When you think that's okay, that's a form of mental illness. That's mental illness. That's where your, like I said, your serial unalivers come from. That's where your school shooters come from. That's where all these degenerate people. That's where your child molesters come from. All these people, because they have this God complex where they feel as though what they want to do at whatever given time is right. They rationalize whatever they want to do based on their low desires. They tell themselves that their low desires take precedent over everybody else's. They tell people that their low desires take precedent over everybody else. You know why they think like that? Because they have a God complex. This conflict with Israel and Palestine going back and forth on both sides is wrong. The Palestinians are wrong and the Israelis are wrong. But you know why they're going to keep going back and forth and counting up and stacking up the bodies? Because they believe in God. They believe one group believed that they God want them to be here. Another group believe that they want to be here, which is really just them masquerading as these gods that claim that they should be here and that a God told them this and a God told them that and whatnot. You see, that again, that's the God complex. God is the worst thing that ever happened to man. The belief in God, which was created by man, was the worst thing that ever happened to man, because it takes away the basic respect that man and woman are supposed to have for one another. It takes it away. Again, I don't care what race you are, you should respect people no matter what, until they give you a reason to disrespect, until they disrespect you. But just off top, people should respect people, minus the God, minus the Jesus, minus the all of the fanfare of religion, because all it does is put division amongst people. Again, people don't have to love each other, but you can respect each other. And basic respect is what's needed in order for the world to run correctly. God, being under God, believing in God, believing in that produces a self-righteousness in the people. You black Christians, y'all self-righteous as hell, man. You black Christians, you black Israelites, you black Muslims, you white Jews, everybody self-righteous. Everybody, you white Christians, everybody self-righteous. You Arab Muslims, everybody think they right. But they get away from the basics of what right is, the basics of what righteousness is. They get away from that. And that basics of righteousness is respect for people. See, when you don't have basic respect for people, I don't give a shit what God you talking about. I don't care about no Allah, no Jehovah, no Jesus, no Yahweh. When you don't have basic respect for people, your God don't teach you to have basic respect for people, then your God is fake. Your God is false. If your God can't teach you to have basic respect for people, you see, when you feel as though it's okay to violate people, take people's rights away, right? Like with the Carmelo Anthony case. Again, they want to really sit up here and act like he got a fair trial. And then they got in their court system, in God we trust. And God we trust, but you didn't give this young man a fair trial because of your emotions. You see, because of your emotions. You didn't give this man a fair trial. You see, and like I said, that just lets you know that these people who are in charge of the uh, um, of the law of the legal system, the so-called legal system, the justice system or the injustice system, they're not fit to be in charge of any justice system because they let their personal prejudice get in the way of this kid getting a fair trial. They let their personal prejudice get in the way, that which shows you they're not fit to be in authority over nobody, especially us, because everything they do is based in race. Every decision they make over people, which again, they should have no rights to make decisions over nobody. The Lord should be making decisions over everybody. The Lord, not God. But see, these people have a God complex. These white judges, these white DAs, these white police, all of them have a God complex, which makes them sick. They believe they're God. They believe they're judge and jury and that they have no power over them. That's the sickness of these people. And you know what? You so-called black people, you help validate this with your fear of these people. You are afraid of these people because you worship God, which means you worship them. You give them the authority over you. Instead of connecting to the Lord is the omnipotent and omnipower, the true power. The Lord is over God. God is man. The Lord represents that righteous or chosen few people over man, over mankind. That is supposed to be us as a chosen people. That is supposed to be us in real time as a chosen people. You see? Exactly. The belief in God takes away self-accountability for some people. It takes it away for all people. It takes it away for all people because I have never met anybody who claims to be a Christian, a Muslim, or an Israelite that wasn't corrupt in some kind of way, that wasn't crooked in some kind of way, that wasn't fake in some kind of way. Like, for example, I'm going to give you a perfect example of that. I was having a conversation with this brother in the Nation of Islam, right? And I was telling him, you know, now that the knowledge is coming out about our people being indigenous Americans, first Americans, I said, is the nation going to teach that? Are y'all going to teach that our people didn't come over here on slave ships, that we are actually American indigenous people? You know, this brother going to tell me, no, we're not going to teach that because we taught that, you know, the slave trade, that black people got brought here. The Asiatic black man got brought here in the 1500s by the white man, and that this is not our country. This is the land of the Native American man and whatnot. This is what they said in the Nation of Islam. This is what this guy said to me in the Nation of Islam. With all this proof that our people are the real American indigenous people, do you know this brother had the nerve to tell me that they're not going to teach that? They're not even going to consider that or even look that up. They're just going to go with that because that's their God complex teaching. That's their God complex teaching right there. You see, they don't want to admit that the slave ship story is false. They don't want to admit that because if they admit that, then I guess they make that makes them feel as though what they're teaching is not the real truth. Because if your story starts off, if the foundation of your teaching when it comes to so-called black people is that we came from Africa on slave ships, the minute you start talking like that, then everything after that you say is fraudulent. Because we didn't come from no Africa on no slave ships. We were always in America. So if you're going to start off your story telling us that, and then you telling us we're supposed to worship a foreign god called Allah or Jesus or Jehovah or Yahweh, then we can't take you seriously. The brother, he gonna tell me, he said they not gonna teach that. I said, really? Even though it's the truth? Oh, brother, I ain't the truth. How you know it's the truth? I start bringing out the stuff. He didn't want to hear it. He didn't want to hear it. This is a brother in the Nation of Islam. These are the so-called black Muslims that's supposed to help our people. How you gonna help our people telling lies to our people? It was one thing when y'all didn't know, but now you know, and all this knowledge is coming out of who we are as American indigenous people, first Americans. And you mean to tell me the nation ain't gonna teach that? You're going to tell me the nation's not going to teach that? The nation that's supposed to be so progressive and about the upliftment of the so-called black man and black woman, this brother going to tell me the nation ain't going to teach that we American Indians. That's mental illness to me. That's mental illness. That's mental illness because You refuse to listen to the truth because you comfortable with a lie, aka a belief. That's mental illness. That's form of mental illness. You would rather believe a lie that we came over here rather than do the research and see so that you could teach your people the truth. You'd rather teach them a belief, aka a lie. This is the black Muslims. You see, you could ask any of them that do they think that black Americans are indigenous to America? They're gonna tell you no. Now, I can't be with the Nation of Islam because I gotta sit up here and lie and say that my people came over from Africa on some slave ships in the 1500s and whatnot. That's a form of mental illness. Anytime you tell me I gotta lie to be down with your community or your organization, I gotta tell a lie that my people came over from Africa on slave ships. Or you Hebrew Israelites, y'all do the same thing. When you bring that up about about black Americans being the real American Indians, oh nah, brother. See, where it said Judah, that's the black man of America. Judah came over here or from Africa. Everybody else is indigenous to America on the 12 tribes chart, but Judah came over here from Africa. Come on, man. Bullshit, man. BS, man. BS. Y'all only believe that because the white man said so. Y'all only believe that our people came over from Africa on slave ships because the white man said so. Same thing with the Nation of Islam. You only believe that because the white man said so. Yet your God, Fard Muhammad, who's supposed to be the omnipresent, omnipotent, and all this other stuff, y'all claim he the most high. How is it that Fard Muhammad didn't tell y'all that black Americans is American Indians? How is he telling y'all some Asiatic black men and that we was in Mecca somewhere and all this other nonsense? How is he telling you that? And that's not the truth. That's not the truth. Our people are indigenous Americans. But he telling us that we came from Africa and, we came from Saudi Arabia, that we Asiatic people and all this other BS. And I'm like, man, come on, man. You can't call it nothing other than that. You can't call it nothing other than BS. And it's no disrespect to the nation. But again, if you're not going to teach our people the truth, if you're not going to tell the truth to our people, then what good are you in modern day if you're not going to teach our people the truth? If you refuse to teach our people the truth because you're concerned about how it makes your doctrine look, you care more about your doctrine than the truth. That's a form of mental illness right there. That's a form of mental illness when you will knowingly lie to people, not even check out information. You will knowingly lie to people because you have a connection, you have an emotional attachment to some made up belief that we came from Africa on slave ships, that we Asiatic black men, that we had straight hair at one time, like our eyebrow, and then our lips poked out and our hair got nappy and all that shit y'all used to teach. Man, come on, man. Ain't nobody brought us from nowhere. We was always in America. But the fact that y'all can't even embrace that shows a form of mental illness, man. Anytime you want to ignore the truth, anytime you want to sit up here and lie and say and deny our legitimacy because you have this God complex and you would be like, well, if I admit that make it look like. Same thing with these white people. They do the same thing. Or these Native Americans. They'll say we're not indigenous to America. But I just read to you the other day. Here it is. The white man is now up here talking about he's indigenous to America. The so-called white man, he's indigenous to America. Right? Remember I told you Bob Barker, the guy used to be the Price is Right. I said these white people up here claiming to be Native Americans now. They're not European no more. But you know why they do that? Because that's a mental illness on their part. They feel like it's okay to take on other people's true identity to commit identity theft by taking on the true identity of the real American Indians, which is our people. You see, that's all they doing. They sitting up here. I told you, they sitting up here talking about they're Bob Barker. If you're Bob Barker, the racist cracker, the one who was hosting The Price is White. He claims he's a Native American. You don't hear nothing about his European heritage and nothing. And a lot of them do that, man. They erase their heritage because that's that mental illness in them, man. That's that God complex where you think it's okay to just step into other people's shoes and become other people. You Native Americans do that. You Caucasian, Native Americans do that. All of y'all just want to step in our place. You want to take credit for our music. I was watching something the other day where You had this white man going around teaching the kids about blues music. An old white man playing blues music, playing black people's music, and he's going around teaching as if blues music come from white people. You see? They just steal our heritage and culture, but because they have this God complex, they feel as though it's okay to steal from our people, to steal our culture, steal our heritage, steal our identity as Americans. They feel that's okay because they have this God complex. That's why. And a lot of you have this Uncle Tom, Sambo, coon, submissive mindset, which is why you think it's okay. You think it's okay. You'll sit up here and you will deny that we are indigenous Americans because you don't want to offend white people, aka God. You don't want to offend white people who've been talking about we Africans and we sub-Saharan Africa and all that bullshit. Y'all believe that because, again, that's the God complex over you. The God complex over you comes out as a form of submission. The God complex over other races of people, especially the Caucasian, come out as dominance. It comes out as dominance. So the nation, they're not going to say that our people are American indigenous people because Fard Muhammad, who looks like a white man, told them that black people is Asiatic black people. AKA all it took was a white man to just say something and they believe it. They believe it. Just like a lot of you so-called black people, all it takes is a white man to just say anything and y'all believe it. That's that mental illness, man. That's the mental illness on the human race. That's that insanity. Mm-hmm. That's people with the God complex. Mm-hmm. You people who have this God worship, you got this God worship, right? Which is a form of, you have this God worship, which is a form of idol worship. You worship the images of things that are not even in your face, that are not even real. You have this God worship mindset of mentality, but yet you disrespect people who are right in your face, people who you could see every day. You have more reverence for people, places, and possessions, things you can't even see, over the reality of actual people that you encounter. Again, everything is about respect. If you respect people, if you take off the mindset of having that God complex, then your life and people in your life, everything should be laid out as it's supposed to in your life, where you grow to where you want to grow in your life. Because again, God is the reason for the mental insanity of the human race. God is the reason for the mental insanity of the human race, the belief in God, the adherence to God, the worship of certain people as God, right? You so-called black people, you worship white people as gods. Yes, you do. You so-called white people, you so-called black people worship white people as gods. That's why when you get an education from a white institution, you really feel as though you've accomplished something. When you get educated by white people, you get a degree, a diploma from a white institution, you really feel as though you have accomplished something. You know why? Because that's a form of mental illness, where you put the accolades from another man above you. You put their accolades, their accreditation, you put that up as supreme, as paramount. That means that you worship the image of another man. You worship the image of another man's system. Ain't that right, Umar Johnson? When you talk about your 6 degrees, Mr. Pan-African, Mr. Prince of Pan-Africanism, when you talk about your 6 degrees you got from a white man's college, you see, when you talk about that, where you value an education you get from Caucasians because you worship them as gods. That's a form of mental illness on you so-called black people. You see, that's a form of mental illness on you so-called black people. Anything that they give you or anything they appear to give you, you worship that because you see them as gods. That's a form of mental illness in black people's minds, that you worship another group of people on earth as gods. You worship them as living gods. That's really what that is. You worship them as living gods. Black people worship white people as living gods on earth. They do. They don't want to say that, but they do. That's why these black females want to get with Brad, because they see him as a god. They see the white man as a god. And they get that brainwashing early from the images of white Jesus, white God, seeing white people in positions of authority, getting white teachers. They're going to come to school and learn from white teachers, white principals. So they seeing white people in authority all throughout their lives. So what does that do? That creates a God complex in the minds of black people when it comes to white people. They just worship everything that they say, do, and make up a new word. Y'all talking about, we got to look this up and we really got to study this, because you got a worshipful master mentality when it comes to white people. Black people, you worship white people. You worship white people as God. What other church you're gonna go and you're gonna see white people worshiping the image of a black Jesus up on a cross somewhere, a black Jesus anywhere? The fact that y'all even believe in Jesus is a mental illness, because all it took was a Caucasian person to tell you that Jesus and God are real, and y'all accepted that. You see, you didn't question it. You don't dare question Jesus and God, just like you won't question the slave trade thing. Our people don't question anything, and that's a form of mental illness, because your ability to think is supposed to give you the ability to question. You don't have a mind not to question. You have a mind to question. You have a mind to think. You have a mind to process what you're being told. But because black people and people in general, the human race, have a mental illness, and that is that God complex, where you're taught to believe as opposed to think. You're taught to believe as opposed to think. You're taught to believe in a certain systematic way of thinking, and you don't think beyond that. You don't think beyond that systematic way of thinking. Now, for certain people need that systematic way of thinking. Certain people are not able to control their way of thinking. They're not able to control their way of, communicating with people. Some people are not able to do that. You see, certain people are mentally weak. You see, most people are mentally weak. You see, so for our people who are mentally strong, our people who can see past black and white, see past positive and negative, see past, all the things that are based in polarities here. The ones who are strong enough to see past the matrix of what's being presented to our people, it's all being presented through God. God is the problem. God is the problem. But the Lord is the solution. I'm going to say it again. God is the problem. The Lord is the solution. God is why there's selfishness in the world. God is why there is bloodshed in the world. God is why there is degeneracy in the world. Look at all the people that follow God. That tell you everything. Excuse me. Look at all the people that follow God. Look at all the degenerate things they do. Look at all the degenerate things they do in the name of the God. So what does that tell you? But if there is a Lord, which there is a universal Lord, where there's law and order, and people are held accountable for what they do. People are held accountable for what they do, no matter who you are, no matter what color your skin is, no matter how high. If you are truly held accountable for what you do, that's law and order from a higher sovereign power. Then that is the coming of the Lord, where no man and no woman escapes judgment. You see, that's how you get purity in the world. When you have people, you see, when you have people who have to be accountable. You see, the people in the church are not accountable for nothing. The people in the mosque are not accountable for nothing. The people in the temples, the synagogues, they're not accountable for a damn thing, because they believe they God and they do whatever they want to do. They don't give a damn about the people. They don't care about who they hurt. They don't care about who get killed. They don't care about none of that. All they care about is preserving their image as God, keeping this rotation, this systematic way of locked out mindsets out of the equation, keeping our minds locked out, keep pushing God to our people, keep pushing the worship of white people to our people, the image, the things that they push to our people, to keep that over the minds of our people. That's what keeps the Lord out, man. That's what keeps law and order out. That's why you could have these people today do a trial with Carmelo Anthony and violate this kid's so-called rights here, because there's no so-called law and order system here. There's not. They just showed you there's no law and order system here. They just showed you they create the law as they go. They make up whatever they want to be the law. They just showed you that. And the fact they could sit here and claim that he got a fair trial. There was no fair trial. There's nothing fair about nothing these people do. You see, because they are people of God. They are a dogmatic race of people with a dogmatic religion that only cares about one group of people. It's a dog-eat-dog world, right? It's a dog-eat-dog world. It is a people that worship God, dog spelled backwards, God, a people that believe inside the word believe. You see the word lie. They believe in dogma. They believe in racial hierarchy through savagery, and they call that God. They believe in racial hierarchy through savagery, which they call God. That's really what God means to these people. These people who put white Jesus up there, the white people that put up white Jesus, they don't care. They don't care about no Jesus and no Bible. There's no Jesus Christ, man. There's no Jesus Christ. They just made up Jesus, man. There's no Jesus. All right. There's no Jesus. And when you tell our people that, they seem to have a problem with that, and that's sad that they do have a problem with that, because you shouldn't. If you claim that you are in alignment with a sovereign and higher power, then why do you care if there's a Jesus or not? Why do you care if there's a Jesus or not if you claim to be in contact with a high sovereign power? Why do you care if there's a Jesus or not, or if any prophets ever existed? Why do you care about that? If you notice, the Israelites, the Christians, all the Muslims, all they care about is the prophets, the prophets, the prophets. How come they don't care about the Most High? They claim they follow. They care more about man, the prophets. That's all they care about. All right? They care about man. They care about the selfishness of man. They don't care about anything else. That is God. God represents the selfishness of man. Clear? God represents the selfishness of man. God represents the selfishness of women who try to be God. When they say the woman is God, the black woman is God, everybody get to be God. That represents selfishness. God represents selfishness. Okay? God represents selfishness. That's why people out here think it's okay to burn crosses on people's lawns, call people the N-word, and then go right to church and worship Jesus. How fucked up is that? You see? Or you could be in the damn black church and have somebody like damn TD Jakes in there, or Eddie Long, and these guys are sodomites, right? Allegedly, but not so allegedly, but allegedly. You know, you can have all kind of degeneracy there. So, anyway. So, again, remove God from the minds of our people. Remove God. Remove Jesus. That is the problem. God and Jesus is the problem. You go to any black neighborhood out here, any hood, you see a whole bunch of churches there, but you also see a whole bunch of poverty. You see a whole bunch of degeneracy. You see a whole bunch of crime. But everybody believes in God and Jesus. Make that make sense. Why is there all this poverty in the hood? Why is there all these churches here, liquor stores, churches, damn food deserts, women overweight, men selling drugs, people fighting in the street, people shooting guns and whatnot? But everybody believes in God and Jesus. What's wrong with this picture? What is wrong with this picture? Everybody believes in God and Jesus, but you see hell all in the black neighborhoods. You see nothing but hell, but you see all these churches all over the place. What does that tell you? Obviously, that's the problem. That is the problem. God and Jesus are the problem. That is the issue with black people. God and Jesus have done nothing for black people, but watch them suffer, because there is no God in Jesus. God and Jesus is the image of the white man that he put up for you to worship him. So God and Jesus works for him, does not work for you, because you cannot look at yourself and the image of God and Jesus and see divinity. You can't find no divinity in yourself. If you're looking at the white God and the white Jesus, you can't find no divinity there. White people find divinity in looking at white God and white Jesus because they look like them. I mean, don't that make sense? Black people can't find no divinity. Black people can't make no connection with God and Jesus because, again, if you're looking at an image of somebody who's supposed to be on a higher level, then and that person looks like you, then that would inspire you to stop doing the things you're doing and become a better person, not be a degenerate. But the reason why Black people don't make that connection is because Jesus is white. Jesus is a created white character that was made up for white people and whatnot to follow. That's why they thrive under Jesus. That's why white Christians thrive under Jesus, because Jesus was created for them. There's no Jesus Christ. They made up Jesus Christ for them to follow and for them to get the world to bow down to, which is what you Black people have done. And that's a mental illness. That's a form of mental illness. Anytime people get you to worship something that's not real, that you have a childlike belief in this, that's a form of mental illness. Not being able to connect to the supreme power, the true creator, the omnipresent, omnipotent, the Lord, the order, the embodiment of not being able to connect to the Lord and choosing to bow down to a false God instead, aka mankind. That is mental illness. That is mental illness. To involve yourself in religions where all kind of degenerate stuff is going on, all kind of degenerate sodomites and pedos and all this other shit that go on in the church, but yet these people claiming that they love this God. That's sick, man. That is sick. So if Black people ain't trying to come up out of that, I don't know. There's nothing you can't really take Black people seriously. If Black people want to be in the body of that degeneracy, that mental illness, like I said, it even traces back to Carmelo Anthony and his parents, why they allowed themselves to go around these white people, because they worship the image of white people. They worship the image of white people as gods. So they figured to go around white people would be a lot better for their son, because they worship white people as gods. Why wouldn't you go around your own people or around your own kind? Because you look down on your own people, you look down on your own kind, you look up to these white people. Now look where your son is at. You see, because the Carmelo Anthony family, they had a God complex when it came to worshiping white people. The water is colder over here. The water is cleaner over here. The ice is cold over here around these white folks, because you worship them as gods. That's why. You go around in their schools, their universities and whatnot, you worship them as gods. You think to be around them is excellence, because they always portray themselves as being excellent people. And they do this because they have the image of God up in their image and after their likeness to push out to the world, and you all accept that. You all accept that. You accept their image as God. You worship the image of God. You do idol worship. That's a form of mental illness. You see, again, when you align yourself with delusional ways of thinking, delusional ways of thought, when you become delusional in your belief system, then that is a form of mental illness. All you people that believe in God and Jesus and Allah and Jehovah, you're mentally ill. All of you people, because I could see your lives. Your lives are void. Your lives are void of decency. Your lives are void of accountability. Your lives are void of any true discernment or judgment. And without that, you cannot claim to be a righteous people. You cannot claim to be connected to a righteous power. You cannot. That is a lie. So I'm about to wrap this up. Thank you all for listening. I know it's been a little bit different. I was a little laid back, but it's always going to be raw and uncut. This was raw. This was the most raw and uncut you're going to get. I didn't have to really turn up or nothing like that, because, like I said, this topic right here is very, very controversial. The mental illness of the human race comes from their belief in God and their God complex. That's where the mental illness of mankind come from. That's where these white people was able to come over here and tell themselves that it was manifest destiny that made them take over the land and take this and take that, even though they were given the message to do that. But that's a whole nother thing. But again, adhering to a higher power is adhering to law and order, not this, which they telling you is law and order. That's it. So we're gonna close this out. And but before I close out, we're still doing the Mentellect extended webinar. We're still doing the Mentellect extended webinar. We're gonna get something set up where we can know who's going to be at the webinar, the class, and whatnot. I still want to do that, the Mentellect webinar. Y'all just keep hitting me up in the comment section, telling me that y'all want the webinar. It's going to be 2 hours. We'll be answering questions and answers. It's going to be $24 for that webinar because I'm doing 2 hours, the true origins of the human race and the closing of the third eye and the opening of the fourth eye. So watch out for that. That's coming June 28th. So let me know in the comment section, those of you who want to attend, that's going to be $24, letting people know on June 28th, Sunday, June 28th. I'm trying to get that together. So there's a lot of stuff going on. Got a new baby coming. So a new boy, my new son coming soon. So I've been really busy with that, preparing for that. So I'll close this out. Lord, I'm in I trust, and Lord, I'm in I thank, and then Lord, I'm in I end this transmission. I am Mr. Buck Manhattan. I have taken over Supreme American TV, the intellectual Lord Benjamin Manhattan. He's going to be the guy that's going to be doing the webinar. So, introduce you to a more laid back version of me. If you haven't seen, I'm laid back right now. Check out Mentellect Patreon. Check out and become a patron of Mentellect Patreon. Give this a thumbs up. Give this a like. Right? Subscribe to this. Share this. Also, check out my Buck Manhattan channel. Check out the Buck Manhattan channel while I'm speaking about things going on in popular culture. Check that out. Subscribe to the Buck Manhattan channel. I'll be on TikTok, I guess, sometime tomorrow. I'm gonna be on TikTok. Again, hit me up in the comment section. Let me know that you want the Mentellect webinar. We're gonna get that going. And check out Draconian Rules clothing line. Also check out American Indigenous channel, Sister Ann Robin Zetterman Tangela. Check out my Unlimited Epics epic book line. I don't like to use the word comic book, my epic book line. So check that out. I got to get ready for my nightly cast. All right. Closing out.
Some your heart.